In fiscal year 2014, Virginia Adult Protective Services received more than 21,000 reports of adult abuse, neglect, or exploitation. More than 9,000 of those reports were substantiated. But research indicates that for every elder abuse case reported to authorities, nearly 24 cases go unreported. How can we help? Melvin Johnson and Ashley Reisman are with Norfolk's Adult Protective Services Unit, and they're here to share some information on what to look for and what steps to take if you are suspecting that adult abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation are taking place. These are big areas and very, very concerning because as people grow older, they're not always, they become more vulnerable for a lot of reasons. And you're there to step in and help when they need it. So just how prevalent is this? And is adult abuse, adult neglect, or financial exploitation, is one more prevalent than the other?
Absolutely. I would say here in Norfolk, we get a number of allegations for self-neglect. Overall, the most prominent would be financial exploitation.
Really?
Much of that is due to just the different generations and some of the risk factors with the older generation, including technology. Some of them aren't really up to par with what's going on. They don't quite protect their funds as easily, and they're a little more vulnerable.
Okay, well that would make sense. As technology grows, there's going to be a widening gap between those people who know how to use it and those who do not. And an older group may not be as on top of it in some cases. So that's a scary thought.
It is.
Yeah, it is. And Ashley, we also have self-neglect, which is not something that people necessarily think of, but it is a pretty big factor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably, like Melvin said, the one we get the most of here in Norfolk. And, you know, it's recognized by untreated medical conditions, just a general instability, unpaid bills, poor hygiene. You can see, you know, lack of functioning things in the home, things like that. So, you know, we look for all of those when we're getting reports.
Okay. So you do get reports, and as I stated earlier, there are reports that are made, and quite a few of them, but there are a lot that aren't made, and that may be due to a few factors. One, that people don't know what to do if they see somebody that they have known or know or are acquainted with and notice that there's a change in them. They just don't really feel like it's their business or what to do, or should they do anything. So what does the law say? I mean, people don't have to, if they are a neighbor, report. Are there mandated reporters?
Yeah, there's definitely mandated reporters. Most mandated reporters work within the healthcare industry.
Okay.
So if they're in a facility like a hospital or a healthcare organization, a residential or a hospice, and they see signs of abuse or exploitation, they are mandated to report that. It is the law. If they don't, that can be held against them. For those individuals who are neighbors or family members, it may be intimidating. We just implore people to do what's in the best interest of the client. If you don't know, attempt to contact the proper authorities, and if not us, say the police, they will get in contact with us. We do work with community members all the time, city attorney, the multiple healthcare organizations out here, law enforcement, anybody we can. We work as a big group.
Okay, so the idea of contacting somebody, just know that there is a whole group of organizations and people that are trained to work on cases such as this, particularly with abuse, when you're dealing with someone who may have been harmed physically by someone, and you feel like you just need to do something. You can contact them. So, if they were to say contact the Department of Human Services, Adult Protective Services hotline, for instance, what is it that what kind of information is helpful to the person that's taking that information, answering the phone?
So I worked on hotline for a good while. The main things we would need would be their identifying information.
The identifying information for whom?
For the client.
Okay.
Yes.
For the person that they're concerned
right.
about.
Not necessarily for the reporter. We definitely have anonymous reports.
Okay.
But we do need to know the client's name,
okay.
The location. You know, we got to be able to find them and make sure it's in our jurisdiction, because that's a big thing for us as well. And then, you know, we want to know some of the circumstances of what's going on. And I wouldn't, worry about harping on, whether or not I need to be reporting this. I just want to tell someone, because that's what we're here to do, is decide whether that report's valid and if we need to pursue that. And so, I wouldn't worry about, deciding that on your own. Let us get involved and help.
Okay, so a person who's calling is calling and talking to somebody who's trained to be able to identify the factors that may
Absolutely.
Warrant going further with that call. Let's go back to the anonymity aspect first, because that's often a barrier to getting something reported. People feel that, oh, if I make this call, then I'm getting involved, and they're going to want to, they're going to find out who I am. That person's going to find out, and that could be a problem and keep them from actually taking action. What can you say? How do you address that concern?
Well, much like going to the doctor's office, you do have HIPAA rights. They are protected by HIPAA rights. We can't willfully put their information out there without their permission. The only time it can come out at all is if requested by a court, and very rarely, never in my experience has that ever happened. Okay. It is anonymous. It stays within the company. I don't necessarily know who Ashley would speak with on hotline. She doesn't know who I would speak with. It goes straight from hotline to the investigator. So it really does go through a filter, very thin filter, where your name would not be out there in any sense to be used against you, and we don't announce who made the report to the client unless that's what they wanted us to do.
Okay. Up on the screen you see there is a local number, 8:30 to 5 p.m. weekdays, where you can call and speak to somebody about your concerns, and they'll ask you some questions. Again, this can be an anonymous report. It is nice if you are able to provide your name and contact information if there are further questions, because then they can actually get in touch with you. But it's not mandatory. It's not required. So we encourage you to call, even if you just feel uneasy about something. Let's talk a little bit about some of these things, like adult abuse, adult neglect, and the financial exploitation. What would I look for adult abuse? Are there symptoms? Are there behaviors that somebody might exhibit that would be noticeable or worth noting?
Absolutely. The definition of adult physical abuse is any willful act which leads to bruising or injury of the elderly or disabled persons. APS is also open to disabled people 18 and older. Okay. APS is for those 60 and older. However, it is those 18 and older with a mental, cognitive impairment or physical impairment. Okay. So any type of willful act that leads to an injury of that individual.
Okay. So something you can see, something you notice, and their behavior too could certainly indicate.
Yeah, one other portion that I forgot to mention was medical restraints, any type of restraint. If someone's using a sedative to keep the client from moving or leaving, that's also a type of physical abuse.
Okay,
yes.
All right, interesting.
It's real common, you'll see marks on the individual. It's always good to look for old and new bruising. That's a good indicator. Like I said, again, with untreated medical conditions, it's really common across all of our allegations. Not just neglect, but self-neglect. Even with financial exploitation, you just see that there's something being ignored there. Non-compliance with medications, back to the general instability, unpaid bills. I know specifically with financial exploitation, like a change in power of attorney or a change in the will can be red flags, back again to the unpaid bills. So you'll see some consistencies across all of the allegations, and when you put them together, it's certainly something we would want to look into.
Okay, you just saw the website for the National Center for Adult Abuse, and it's a great website. It gives you lots of information for anybody who might be interested, whether you're a professional or just a resident who wants to know more, or a concerned citizen, or someone who is older themselves, because it never hurts to be aware of what is going on out there. And if you have friends who you may be close to, this is a good time to be able to kind of tune in and make sure they're okay. So just know that there is somebody to talk to and somebody that you can call. And I thank you for showing up and being here to share some really, really good information about adult abuse, neglect, and exploitation.
Absolutely.
It's a huge subject, and we know we've just scratched the surface. But thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
a lot.
you.
Well, attention artists, healthcare professionals, caregivers, and students, to name a few. An upcoming workshop will tune you in to the creative potential of our elders. We'll be right back.